Tonight, I want to begin with something easy to picture: a map. Look at the Middle East. Look at the Persian Gulf. Then look closely at the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow water passage only about 21 miles wide at its tightest point. Yet this small stretch of water carries a huge weight in the world economy. A major share of global oil and liquefied natural gas moves through it every day. But behind the shipping numbers are human beings. Right now, thousands of seafarers are stuck in that area. These are real workers on real vessels. Many are from the Philippines, India, Pakistan, Ukraine, and many other countries. They left home to work on cargo ships that keep trade moving across the world. Now they are caught between American naval pressure on one side and Iranian limits on the other. Some cannot enter Iranian ports. Some cannot safely move out of the Gulf. Their ships are sitting inside a waterway that has turned dangerous. Their families do not know when they will return. Their companies cannot move them without the risk of detention or seizure. Their governments are making quiet calls behind closed doors, trying to find a way out. Yet most Americans have heard almost nothing about them. That is the human cost of this crisis. It is not just a clash between governments. It is not just a board game for military planners. It is affecting ordinary people first, and it may soon affect fuel prices, trade, alliances, and America's place in a fast-changing world. The biggest development in the last 24 hours is Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, traveling to Moscow to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. At first, that may sound like normal diplomacy. It is not. The timing is too important to ignore. The United States is blocking Iranian ports. Washington and Tehran are locked in a hard standoff. Talks are not moving in any clear direction. Iran has made it clear that Hormuz will not simply return to the way it was before. And in the middle of all this, Iran's top diplomat did not go to a neutral mediator. He did not go to Oman or Pakistan. He went to Moscow. That choice matters. Russia gains from Iran being pushed into a corner. Russia is also under heavy Western pressure. It is still fighting in Ukraine. It has been cut off from much of the Western-led financial system. So when America gets pulled deeper into a Middle East crisis, Moscow sees an opening. It means less American attention on Ukraine, NATO's eastern border, and the Pacific. For Russia, Iran is useful. Iran needs support, trade routes, arms, and ways around sanctions. Iran also needs friends who will not bend easily to American pressure. For Iran, Russia can bring air defense systems, protection at the United Nations, help with oil sales, and the message that Tehran is not standing alone. This is why the blockade becomes more complicated. The American plan is clear: squeeze Iran's economy until the pain forces Tehran back to the table. But that plan depends on Iran feeling trapped. If Russia helps Iran carry the pressure, find money channels outside the dollar system, sell oil through other routes, and strengthen its military position, then the blockade loses some of its force. Not all of it, not overnight, but enough to change the balance. A blockade that brings weaker results still leaves Americans paying more. The pressure may not be forcing the outcome Washington wants, but the cost is already showing up in daily life. That is why Keir Starmer's call to Donald Trump matters. The British Prime Minister warned that the crisis around the Strait of Hormuz could cause serious harm to the world economy and increase living costs for people in Britain. He also told Trump that shipping must start moving again without delay. That is not a small thing. Britain is one of America's closest partners. It has stood beside the United States through major conflicts and still shares deep security and intelligence ties with Washington. So when Britain's leader calls the American president and uses strong warning language, it means the situation has become urgent. This was not an outside rival attacking America's decision. It was not Russia or China trying to score points. It was Britain, a trusted ally, saying that the current course is hurting the economy and putting pressure on ordinary households. The timing adds more weight. Britain did not join the blockade against Iran. Britain and France have been working with other countries to push for a diplomatic reopening of the strait instead of a wider military route. The U.S. and U.K. relationship is also going through strain, especially over NATO. Still, Starmer made the call because the impact of the blockade is becoming too large to ignore. Energy costs are already rising in Europe. The EU has spent much more on energy imports since the crisis began, while receiving no real increase in supply. That means buyers are paying higher prices for the same energy because the market is under pressure. In the United States, fuel prices are also climbing again. For ordinary Americans, this is not theory. It affects school runs, work trips, deliveries, food prices, and business costs. Then, Iran made a statement that changes everything. Tehran said the Strait of Hormuz will not go back to its former condition. That matters because Washington's whole plan seems to depend on one belief: pressure Iran, reach a nuclear deal, reopen the strait, calm oil markets, and bring fuel prices down. That would make the pain temporary. But Iran is now saying the issue is bigger than the nuclear talks. Tehran is separating the future of Hormuz from any nuclear agreement. Even if talks succeed, Iran is suggesting that the old Gulf order is finished. That means the crisis may not end the moment a deal is signed. It could become a long-term change in the balance of power around one of the world's most important waterways. Iran's statement may be a bargaining move. It may be Tehran's way of warning Washington that America should not expect economic pressure to disappear the moment a deal is signed. That happens in talks. A country may begin with a hard line so it can gain more room at the table. But Iran may also mean exactly what it said. Iran may have decided that the Strait of Hormuz is its strongest tool. For years, Iran knew it could shake global energy markets if America pushed too hard. Now that Tehran has used that tool and shown it is willing to disrupt the Gulf, it may not want to give that power away without getting something major in return. If that is true, then the economic pain may last much longer than many people expect. Fuel prices may not simply fall back a few months after a nuclear deal. Oil prices may stay higher than they were before February 28. Traders are already acting as if this risk will remain. Even under a good outcome, the market does not expect oil to return to earlier levels this year. That brings us to Lebanon, because this war is not only about ships, oil, and talks between governments. Lebanon is paying a terrible price. Since March 2nd, Israeli strikes in Lebanon have killed 2,559 people and wounded more than 7,700. Since the ceasefire was announced on April 16, 47 more people have been killed, including 2 children on Sunday. So when people call it a ceasefire, we need to look at what is really happening. Israel is still striking southern Lebanon. Hezbollah is still firing rockets and drones. People are still dying. A ceasefire that keeps producing deaths every day is not peace. The scale is huge. About 1 million people in Lebanon have been displaced in a country of around 7 million. That means a large share of the population has been forced from home. Villages have been badly damaged. More than 1,400 buildings have been destroyed based on satellite checks. Even protected religious sites have not been spared. This is happening at the same time as the blockade, the nuclear talks, Iran's move toward Russia, and Britain's warning to Washington. These are not separate events. They all grew out of the same wider crisis after February 28th. And then there are the seafarers trapped in the Gulf. The International Maritime Organization has received urgent messages from sailors stuck on merchant ships. Many are workers from poorer countries who took sea jobs to support their families. Now they are caught between American action against Iranian ports and Iranian restrictions inside the Gulf. They are not soldiers. They are not officials. They are not the people making these decisions. They are workers sitting on ships in a dangerous zone, waiting for someone to open a safe way out. The IMO and the International Chamber of Shipping have called for a humanitarian corridor to protect merchant vessels and their crews. So far, neither the United States nor Iran has agreed to a firm safe passage plan. These people went to work at sea. The war found them there. I want to bring everything together so you can see the full situation clearly. Iran's top diplomat is in Moscow meeting Vladimir Putin, building stronger ties that weaken the impact of American pressure. Britain's prime minister has already called Donald Trump with a serious warning about the economic fallout. Iran has made it clear that the Strait of Hormuz will not return to the way it used to be. Oil markets are already adjusting to this new reality, and fuel prices are rising again. At the same time, people are dying in Lebanon, even after a ceasefire was announced. Thousands of sailors remain stuck in the Gulf with no safe way out. And while all of this is happening, American envoys are not even traveling for talks. That is the full situation when you look at it all together. Now, here is the honest truth about it. After decades of watching American foreign policy up close, one thing stands out. In every major conflict, there has to be a clear path to the end. Not just who wins, not just what a deal might look like, but a simple answer to one question: how does this stop? There has to be a clear chain of events, a plan that says, if we take this step, the other side responds this way, and eventually the conflict winds down. That kind of clarity existed in past conflicts. There was a roadmap, even if it was difficult. Right now, that roadmap is missing. The demands on Iran are not acceptable to Iran. The pressure campaign is being weakened as Iran builds new partnerships. The ceasefire in Lebanon is not holding. The situation in Hormuz is not returning to normal. Communication is happening at a distance instead of face-to-face. Allies are raising concerns. Workers at sea are still waiting for help. If there was a clear plan behind all of this, it has not been shared, not with the public, not with lawmakers, and not even clearly with allies. And when there is no clear path to the end, the cost keeps rising. The people paying that cost are not just governments. They are sailors stuck at sea, families in Lebanon, workers and drivers paying more for fuel, soldiers already lost. That is what this situation looks like right now. Let me leave you with one final thought. While American officials are holding back, Iran is actively building new relationships. Two countries under heavy sanctions are finding common ground and strengthening ties. These relationships are not temporary. They will shape what comes next. Diplomacy does not wait. If one side is not present, the other side moves forward anyway. Right now, decisions are being made, alliances are forming, and the balance is shifting. And those changes are not happening in America's favor. People deserve clear answers. They deserve to know where this is heading, what the plan is, and how it ends. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.